Peterborough Power Signal Box, standing just to the north of Peterborough Station, right by the East Coast Main Line, has been signalling trains along the stretch of the East Coast Main Line from Sandy in the south to Stoke Junction in the north for almost 51 years, opening on the 3rd of December 1972. The power box was built on the site of the former Midland Railway Spittal Loco shed, but it wasn't the first box to be here, as this one, called Spittal Signal Box, was on the actual site way before the power box was even dreamt of. Modernisation of Peterborough signalling to the multiple aspect signalling wiped away many of these boxes, including Peterborough North Box, Spittal Junction Box, seen here with my grandfather leaning out of the window in 1952, the famous Peterborough East Box that stood on stilts above one of the railway lines, and Crescent Junction Box, just to name but a few boxes that this power box replaced. These two images, taken in 1969 and 1970, clearly show the track layout being remodelled around the Peterborough station area, ready for the power box's commissioning and opening on the 3rd of December 1972. Indeed, this image here believes to be showing the commissioning of the power box operating floor. It has signalled an all manner of trains, from the legendary East Coast Deltics that plied the line and were king of the railway when the power box was opened, and still ply the line to this day, to their predecessors, the high-speed trains, which at the time were not wanted by enthusiasts but now have their own cult following, to the HST's not so much successor but more partner in many years. The Class 91 and 225 sets ran alongside each other past Peterborough Powerbox on a daily basis, racking up millions and millions of miles. There's a good chance that if you have travelled on a train from King's Cross to the north, you have been signalled by this power box, which has stood to the north of Peterborough Station, as I said, for the best part of 51 years. As time marches on, so does modern rolling stock, and the 225 and HST's successor, LNER's Azuma trains, now run past the power box unhindered, just as the Deltics and the HSTs and 91s did before those. The first part of the Peterborough power box to be commissioned was this long straight part which controls the station. The wings on either end were added over the period of time until it was completed in 1977. Peterborough Powerbox has signalled multiple special workings, and we still get the occasional odd working, as seen here with a pair of Class 20s hauling Mark 3s to Great Yarmouth, and the Powerbox is still signalling classic traction like we see here with this Class 47 that was on Thunderbird duties on this day, patrolling the East Coast Main Line, keeping all the services running to check. We'll have a look now at Peterborough Powerbox main panel, starting in the north at Stoke Junction, where the line is 2-track and branches out into 4 for the race down the banks through Corby Glen, Little Bytham and Essendine. This section of the panel includes the record-breaking stretch at Little Bytham, where the Mallard broke the world's steam speed record on the 3rd of July 1938. Now all multiple aspect signalling, the majority of the signalling on the Stoke Bank area is automatic. As we make our way down the panel towards Tallington and Helpston Junction, you can see here the crossing to the right there at Gretford, Tallington crossovers, the branch on top of the screen goes towards Leicester, and Helpston Junction is now in the centre, and the branch underneath goes towards Lincoln. Apologies about the flashing lights on the panel, they don't actually flash in real life. That is just a case of the LEDs not matching up with the camera. Going further along the panel, we come to Warrington Junction area, which is a relatively new development for the Peterborough Powerbox. Here I'm demonstrating the entry-exit nature of the panel. You press an entry button and an exit button on the main panel, and the route will pick as indicated by the yellow route lights there. This is the extreme north of Peterborough panel. As I said, it controls from Stoke Junction and the 4-track main line through Helpston Junction with the branches to Leicester and Lincoln, through the Warrington Junction area to New England Junction. New England used to boast a massive steam loco shed, But New England Junction now goes into the Peterborough West Yard and the GBRF freight sidings. This is the 5-track main line here, with the 2 tracks at the top of the screen being the former Midland Railway line, which goes off towards Leicester. We're now approaching the busy part of the Peterborough panel, that which controls Spittal Junction, on the north of the station. That red box you can see there, which I will point to in a second, indicates the location of Peterborough Power Box. At the bottom of the screen you have the access to Peterborough West Yards. To the left is Spittal Junction, just to the north of the railway station. Now we look into the centre of Peterborough Station, and this is in the centre of the panel. This is Peterborough Railway Station with platforms 1 to 7 going from bottom to the top, and the 2-way goods line at the top. To the left is a shunt spur, known in the power box as raised siding, which is used to store tampers and units occasionally when they break down. Going south from Peterborough, leaving the station area behind, we move towards Fletton, and I'm just giving you a close-up here of the station panel. You can see platforms 5, 6 and 7 there. You can see the 1 Lima 36 head code, that's a Stansted Airport service, 1 Sierra 15 being an LNER service to Scotland. Just as a brief interim, here we see 3 modern locos passing Peterborough Power Box in 3 retro liveries. 69007 carries British Railways blue, 69002 in large logo blue, both of these locos having been rebuilt from Class 56s, and 66779 carrying British Railways green, named Evening Star. Peterborough is situated on an interesting part of the main line, and we do have our fair share of special trains and charter services that come past the box. Peterborough is an extremely important junction on the East Coast main line, with branches to March, Lincoln and Stamford, as well as a link to the Nene Valley Railway and the main line heading south to London King's Cross. Here we see a Deltic on a charter service going across the Spittal Junction, as we've just seen on the panel, heading into platform number 5. Making our way back to the main panel now, we move to Peterborough South. These are the Nene bridges, and you can see the march lines going underneath. There's also a branch to Orton Mere, and also where that red Fletton sticker is, that used to be the old line to the Fletton Fly Ash disposal point. Fletton Fly Ash trains ran from Ratcliffe and West Burton to Fletton disposal point and were unique to the Peterborough area. Moving on from Fletton, we cross a 2-track bit, and Hicks Lane Bridge there is where I used to go train spotting with my grandfather. Through Yaxley on the 2-track section over the fen, which is specially built on a floating raft due to the boggy nature of the soil in this area. This can be a bottleneck part of the main panel, as it is only 2 tracks, but at Home Junction and Connington we branch out back into 3. Here at Connington we have an upslow loop, but as you can see on the panel, some of the loose tiles indicate where the upslow used to carry on. The upslow here from Woodwalton to Huntingdon was removed to allow easy electrification in the 1980s. As we progress further south through Woodwalton and Abbots Ripton, we come to Huntingdon, where the line again branches into 4-track main line. Huntingdon has a bay platform and tamper sidings on the downside, before moving off again towards Offord, a level crossing there which is controlled by the Peterborough Crossing panel, which we'll have a look at later. Carrying on from Huntingdon south to Offord, we come to St Neots, which again is a junction where we can switch trains from the fast to the slow lines. And then south of St Neots we come to yet more level crossings and the final station on the Peterborough patch, which is Sandy. Peterborough is unusual in having the main line split on both ends of the panel. This was because when the power box was built in 1972, it was not envisaged that it would take over so much track. Normal power boxes have the lines carrying on, but Peterborough's jumped down underneath that of Huntingdon, as you can see here. Here we arrive at Sandy, and at the end of the panel we used to fringe to the power box at King's Cross, but now we fringe to the Railway Operating Centre, Hitchin Workstation, that's situated in York. So although very brief, that is a look at the Peterborough power box signalling panel as it was. By the time this video goes out, Peterborough panel will have closed and ceased to operate, with operations moving to York. The panel is enjoyable to work. I have worked up here for 13 years in both capacity as a signaller and as a shift manager, and I would be very sad to see it go. Just as a demonstration that even on the last days of filming we still had unusual workings, here 37901 is out on a test run. This is one of the Merlees engine 37s that has recently been revealed and re-released by Europhoenix Rail at Leicester. Here it's seen heading to Whitemore, and here it is coming back on test, dragging 37418 along as insurance. Now we come to the Peterborough crossing panel. This is situated towards the rear of the room and controls 6 of the CCTV level crossings that are present on the Peterborough area. The northern crossings are controlled from Helpston. Working from the south we have Everton and Tempsford, Offord in the middle, Conington North, Home and Homeload crossings. If you've been held up on one of the major roads through the area, this is probably where you've been held up. All these crossings are worked by CCTV, as you can see here. Once the barriers are down, we operate the controls to show that the crossing is safe, and once we are confirmed it's safe to do so, we clear the signals on the crossing panel again using entry-exit buttons. Members of the public will always complain about the length of time they are waiting at level crossings. We have to have the crossings down and the signals cleared for up to 5 minutes before the train actually arrives, so that the trains are running on green signals. Here you will see a Lumo service heading towards London crossing Offord Cluny level crossing. Offord level crossing was indicated on the main panel just south of Huntingdon. These 3 crossings, to the left is Conington, in the middle is Home, and to the right is Homeload. There is an emergency crossing box at Home where the crossing used to be controlled from, but now all of these CCTV crossings are controlled from the Peterborough crossing panel, which again in itself is also migrating to York. Helpston has a similar CCTV panel, but that is staying in place for now. During the filming of this farewell video, several special trains ran past the box. Here we have another 37 heading towards Ely with old First Great Western Mark III HST coaches heading for storage. After this had passed, the next day we had a 69 again that arrived on 6 Lima 15, which was heading for Whitemore from Towton Engineering Yard. The variety of trains past Peterborough is very good and has provided plenty of material for my scenes from the signal box. On the 31st of October 2006, GB Rail Freight honoured Peterborough Power Signal Box by naming 66712 Peterborough Power Signal Box in a ceremony in the old bay platform on Peterborough Station. As I mentioned before, by the time this video has gone live and you're watching it, this NX panel at Peterborough that stood the time and signalled trains for nearly 51 years will have been moved and recontrolled to the York Railway Operating Centre. Modern times call for modern signalling, and the move to York will facilitate more modern software to signal the trains, along with progress towards in-cab signalling in the future. We all know now how those other guys must have felt when the North Box and that was threatened with closure when the PSB opened. I have thoroughly enjoyed working here, both in my capacity as a signalman and as my capacity as a shift signalling manager. I've made some very good friends, we've had a lot of banter and a lot of laughs. We've also enjoyed our fair share of horrifically stressful shifts, but we've always got the trains through on time. Or nearly to time. We've signalled everything from the Flying Scotsman to the Flying Banana, and all my scenes from the signal box videos were filmed from this location. Indeed, in this photograph here, taken by my good friend Gavin, you can see me hanging out the window, train spotting and filming, and I'm sure going to miss that view, as I am going to miss working here. So with that being said, I'm going to leave you with this, and thank you so much for watching.
Well, it's alright sit around and wait for the phone to ring, waiting for someone to tell you everything. Sit around and wonder what tomorrow will bring, maybe a diamond ring.
Well, it's alright, even if they say you're wrong. Well, it's alright, sometimes you gotta be strong. Well, it's alright, as long as you got somewhere to lay. Well, it's alright, every day is Judgment Day.
Maybe somewhere down the road away, you'll think of me and wonder where I am these days. Maybe somewhere down the road when somebody plays Purple Haze.
Well, it's alright, even when push comes to shove. Well, it's alright, if you got someone to love. Well, it's alright, everything will work out fine. Well, it's alright, we're going to the end of the line.
Don't have to be ashamed of the car I drive. I'm just glad to be here, happy to be alive. And it don't matter if you're by my side.